Hi, I'm Lee. I'm a New Zealander who lives in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and this is my vlog about my handmade life. You can find me you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. Welcome! It's so nice to be sitting and having a chat with you again. I thought I would set my camera up and just chat to you through the week as I have time, because that just seems to be what works for me at the moment. It's really nice to be sitting down and having, did I say that already? It's really nice to be sitting and having a chat with you again. I really enjoy it. But at the moment it just seems to be one of those things where every now and again it's sort of like, you know what? I want to catch up with the peoples on the YouTubes. Oh, my little dog, the Tea Marshal, is just sitting on the couch just there looking at me, and he was groomed this morning, and so he looks particularly nice. He might come over and say hello. He might not, because he also looks particularly comfortable. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to leave my camera set up and just have a little chit chat with you through the week. It is Sunday here, and I've been doing my chores. I've been outside doing some things. I've been inside doing some things. I've been doing things. It's Sunday. I'm about to go out for dinner, which is what I normally do on Sunday. I usually go back to the house that I lived at last year and have a Sunday dinner with them, which is really nice. And so I'll have a shower and get ready shortly and head on out. But I was just about to put the washing on, and I was looking at something that I have made. Well, I made it last month, and so I thought I would just have a little chat with you about it. And the reason I was reminded when I was putting the washing on, I won't hold these too close, because I made placemats last month. They have a few little marks on them and so they're about to go through the washing machine. So these were quite interesting. I had some annual leave and I stayed at home, and I spent most of that time trimming hedges. That is one thing that has taken up my time over the last month. I have 30 meters of hedging, which I love, and I enjoy trimming them as well. It just takes time. Anyway, so I'd spent most of that week trimming hedges, and then it rained. One afternoon it just rained. It came down in sheets and there was nothing to be done outside, and I thought, I'd been thinking about making placemats for a while, because you need something on your table to protect it. I have a wooden table, and it's just nice to have something soft under your plate. That's funny, it is nice to have something soft under your plate rather than just putting things down on the table. But anyway, not necessarily soft, but I like cork placemats, or it's just nice to have something under your plate, not just the table. Anyway, you know what I mean. So I rifled through my stash and all of the things that I have in the house, and I came across this really nice bees fabric. Some of you will have this from the days when I used to make knitting needle cases. And this is just a lightweight quilting cotton. It came from Spoonflower, and I forget the name of the designer, but I have used quite a few of this person's prints, because she just did things that appealed to me quite a lot. And then this one is one that I put on the inside of a custom bag that I made for somebody. Anyway, so I put it on the inside of a custom bag, and I had some offcuts left over. So I pieced this together. These, you can see where there's half beehives there. So these really were just leftovers, because I knew that I would spill things on them. Why there's not a coffee ring on this yet, I don't know. So they were sort of smallish offcuts. I didn't have to piece this bit of fabric. And then the blue was from a dress that I'd made, and so I just had some really weird shaped pieces. This is not the first time I have machined bias binding. And so what I mean by that is normally when I put bias binding around the edge of something, I would hand stitch it down on the back, whereas you can see, or can you see, that might be better, I've actually gone around that with a sewing machine. I sew on the front side and stitch in the ditch, so I stitch right up in that thingy of stitching. If you're not a sewer and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm not helping. Yeah, so I would normally sew on the bias binding and then I would hand stitch down the back because I'm really bad at getting this nice and neat. But I thought I would practice on these because, as I say, they are going to get dirty, they are going to get in a mess and go through the wash and have things happen to them. And so if they're not the neatest, tidiest thing, so what? And one thing I did find, and I don't know why it had never occurred to me to do this before, it was the most useful thing I did with this was to actually press the bias binding over. Usually I have little clips and I would just clip it over, but this time I got the iron out. Well, I had the iron out anyway because I'm sewing, and so I pressed this into place, and I think had I pressed this a little neater and thought about how far from the edge that needed to be, it would have been even neater. So I made two to begin with. There's the other one. They both look much the same, only one has slightly fewer marks on it because I use it less. And then I had another rainy day, and so I started work on another set of placemats. This is more fabric from the stash. They're the same both sides, there's two, and I'm going to put the same bias binding around the edge. But these have been like this for a month now and I haven't got on with it because we haven't had another rainy afternoon where I've been sat round home. So clearly this is a weather related project and I'm looking forward to finishing it off. The batting that I used was also a leftover that I had, and that was I forget who makes it, but it's made out of recycled plastic bottles. I'm not sure how that works with like microfibers of plastic getting into the waterways and sea and stuff, but of course I guess this is something that I'm going to wash. I was about to say infrequently. Is once a month infrequently? And does it help that it's all encased in cotton? I don't know. But anyway, I had it, and so that's what I've used. And I don't know how these will go through the wash because I didn't check to pre-shrink the fabric or anything, so they could come out a little messed up. But hey ho, they're a bit of an experiment and they're quite a utilitarian sort of a thing. Placemats get a lot of wear, so yeah, I'm really pleased with them. Somebody asked me what size I made them. Basically, I put my plate, my dinner plate, on my placemat and I made it about 5 centimeters wider than the dinner plate, and I put my knives and forks next to them and made it so it was a comfortable width to fit all those things on. And that's the dimensions of my placemats. Anyway, so yeah, it was a fun project. I am thinking about making some little coasters, but like I say, it needs to be a wet day and so that I can't do my outside jobs. Wet day with nothing to do. How often does that happen? Anyway, I have some more leave coming up, so maybe it will happen then. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I'm just twaddling on now. I shall be popping back to talk to you through the week. I'll see you shortly. Marshmallow? Marshmallow? You can say hello. You're beautiful. You smell beautiful too. You've got perfume on. You gonna come over and say hello? Come on. Oh, you just want stomach rubs. I think this is as good as you're gonna get. Oh my friend. I've just finished work and I was going to do some jobs outside before I go to a running club this evening, but it's raining. And so I'm still going to go to running club. That's not an excuse not to go running, but that is an excuse not to do the jobs outside. So there are three main projects that I have been working on since I spoke to you last. The first one is hedge trimming, which is something that I've never done before, but I have 30 metres of hedging and it's beautiful. I love it. In the town where I live, hedging is a thing. Lots of people have really epic hedges or just little hedges, and I noticed that it's really great for wildlife. In the spring there's all manner of birds in there. Yeah, I think it's just nicer than a fence, but it does require some maintenance, and I have some hedges that are over 8 feet high. So I've purchased myself a hedge trimmer and a ladder, and I have been chipping away at those. I'm nearly finished, but I got distracted by job number 2, which is sanding down and resealing and painting all of my wooden window frames. And usually what I do is I nip out after work and I do about an hour of sanding and chipping out rotted bits and filling. There's about 6 layers of stuff that you have to put on that all has to then sit for like so many hours before you put the next layer on. And anyway, this is my excuse for not rushing this job. It's just one of those things. It's quite fiddly and there's a lead time for everything. I've not done it before, so the first window I did was really awful, and the next ones that I've done are slightly better. So yeah. But the third project that I have been throwing myself into is my Jackers jersey, which is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. Oh sorry, did I stop petting you? Apparently I've disengaged the Bobby scratches. He's just sitting down here with his butt on my cushion. No. Anyway, I think I talked about this last time. I had just started it. So I have reignited my running career, which was never particularly flash. It was just actually it was mainly something I did for a social. It was good exercise and a social. I like to go out for a run in a natter, apparently. Yeah, so I have joined the local running club, which is just pretty much over the road from me. And when I used to run in the superfine merino exercise gear that you get, and I found that really comfortable. And I discovered that it was, well, I didn't discover, I kind of knew it was kind of pricey, so I thought I would have a go at making my own running jumper, which I kind of need today because it's a bit chilly. And so I bought 4 skeins of West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply because I really like this yarn for socks. It seems to wear reasonably well but maintain its softness in the wash, which I like a lot. And so I had purchased that yarn specifically to make a more hard wearing garment compared to something like this, which I made out of I'm not sure if this was 100% merino or merino nylon, but it's just a bit more pilly and probably wouldn't survive as well on my feet or as something that I get hot and sweaty in. So I am just about up to the cuffs on this, and it's been a really nice pattern to knit. It's got a good combination of interest. The lace is not difficult, that was easy to follow. A good combination of interest and then plain bits. So some of this has been zoom knitting. I made a change because I noticed that some of the necklines were quite wide, sort of wide like this. You can't really see, I've got a scarf on, I'm not going to take it off because it's chilly. But were quite wide, wider than I wanted it to be. And so I'd made a smaller size and I didn't know if this was going to fit comfortably for me or not. But I thought, well, I can always size it up. And I did find that I needed to size it up. I do like the width of the neckband, so I didn't want to change that. And so I put an extra row of increases around the yoke just to take it up almost to the neck size. I think I had to add in a few more stitches just so all the numbers matched up and I didn't have to do any maths or anything or think about anything after that. Yeah, and I'm really pleased with the fit of it. I'm super pleased with the fit of it, actually. I really like the way the lace sits on my shoulders. It just touches the edge of my shoulders, which I think is really flattering. The other thing, well, the thing that I'm going to do actually is I cast off the hem. That's the hem that I cast off a little too tightly, and so I'm going to undo that and do an Icelandic cast off. I'm going to remind myself how to do it. I'm up to the lace sections on the cuffs, and I've just realised that I've made a mistake with the lace there. It's a really pretty detail, and so I need to rip back a bit. I've done that quite a lot, particularly when I'm talking to people. But as I say, I am particularly pleased with how this is coming out. I should also mention that I haven't knitted this to gauge. I find that a lot of patterns for 4-ply or fingering weight yarns for jumpers and things are knitted more to a DK weight stitch gauge, like 22 or 24 stitches over 10 centimeters, and I don't mind it. I think this yarn might have filled out a bit better than some others might. I don't mind it, but for something that I wanted to be slightly more hard wearing, I think this came out at 26 stitches over 10 centimeters, and I like the fabric better. I like a slightly tighter fabric. In my mind, I think that's going to wear well, but I don't know that for a fact. And I did recalculate and select a size based on that stitch gauge and change some of the dimensions. Well, with the length dimensions, I've just knitted until it's the right length and then carried on with the next instruction. So that's how I've done that. So that has been pretty much all I've worked on, because I knew that I would need it. I knew that I would need it about now, and I was right. And so I'm just really trying to race and get this finished so that I can start wearing it and enjoying it for running. And I really think, I put it on and I really think it looks quite elegant. It's a lovely design, and given that I've made it out of a fairly boring sort of yarn. When I say boring, what I mean is there's no colour, there's no interesting colour variation, and the yarn is just quite flat, and you know, it's not an exciting yarn by any stretch of the imagination. And considering I've made it out of a bog standard, reasonably inexpensive yarn, I'm actually quite impressed with the way this came out. I think it looks very nice on, and I think it's going to be very wearable in my wardrobe. This is kind of a stronger colour than I would normally pick, and probably something more wintry. But yeah, I shall be wearing this for a lot more than just running. But as a running top, I think it's going to be lovely. So those are the three things that seem to be taking up all my time at the minute.
Hi, I
office today, which I'm really enjoying. My other team colleague and I have decided that we will go in once a week, and it's so nice to see faces that I haven't seen since before lockdown, and to actually meet people in person as well, because I had started just before lockdown, and so I have a lot of colleagues that I haven't even met yet, and we have recently been incorporated into a larger team, which is really interesting. And so it's just really nice to be back in a socially distanced office. It's not as busy, there's not as many people around as there used to be. But yeah, I just find it quite motivating and really nice to meet people. I wanted to just mention the Advent mini skein swap, which closes on the 1st of October for the last swap of the year. And I'm just standing in front of my shelves here looking at my mini swap bag. Ooh, whoops! Raining down. Yes. I have all my mini skeins in there and ready to go. I have not quite decided what I'm going to do with these yet. I'm still pondering that. Actually, I'll probably decide on the 1st of December. That's usually how it works here. I have ideas and I just pick one at the last minute. That makes it sound like there's no thought that goes into it, but it's just that I think about it for a long time and then make a final decision right at the last minute. Yes, that was a long explanation for something that didn't require a long explanation. I'm going to pick up this yarn here, which is numbered. I'm intrigued by these numbers. I have no idea what they mean. So yeah, I'm wondering, yeah, maybe I need to open them in some sort of order. That's kind of fun and exciting. So, the last swap is coming up on 1st of October. We swap 6 mini skeins every quarter, so that you have an inexpensive advent calendar if that's what you want to do, or if you just want to swap 6 mini skeins with somebody, then feel free to join in. You don't have to save them for advent or anything. I nearly didn't. I nearly started something. Actually, I should give you an update on the loofah project as well. I think last time I was on here I spoke to you about the loofah plant that I had growing over here. It's no longer over here for reasons that you will be able to see now as I show you a little bit of video of the loofah plant before I put it on the compost heap. I had 3 loofah plants, one of which was growing inside my living room just here, and had a really bad and continuing an ongoing infestation of aphids, which I picked off every morning. Kind of gross. And I think also that the flowers, which were very delicate, never actually got fertilised, and so I didn't have any seed pods on it. I did have a very interested wasp that kept coming in and out. He didn't bother us, so I left him to it. I'm quite averse to wasps. I've been stung about the eye by a rogue one. Actually, I've been stung by wasps a few times, so. But anyway, that was probably the most traumatic incident, wasp incident. And I think he was eating the aphids. I'm not sure about that. I tried to rehome a ladybird onto the plant, but the ladybird wasn't having any of that. So I didn't actually get any of the actual loofah pods. They grow kind of like a cucumber, and that just didn't happen for the plant that was here. But the plant that is up at the allotment does actually have the loofah pods on it. And so when I was up there a couple of weeks ago, I took some video of that, and they are looking really good. It's not prolific, but there are a few pods on that plant. I also gave another one to a friend. I'd had it outside on my patio here, but it wasn't doing very much, and so I gave it to another friend who has a greenhouse, and I haven't had an update on that one. I'm not sure if there are actual loofahs on it or not. I have to get in contact with her. Actually, I saw her today and just forgot to ask. So anyway, that is how things are going with the loofahs. I think that's all I have to ramble on about today. So I shall see you later. So the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was just to give you a little update on my 100 Days project. Over the summer, I wrote a little micro story every day for 100 days, which was a really interesting project to do. And I was reflecting on that and sort of like thinking about where to next from here. And it did, I do kind of want to make a creative practice, and really be intentional about that. And I was thinking about all of the things, all of the projects that I currently have in progress as well, and feeling kind of like, do I need to be doing something new when I already have all of these other things that are in progress? So I decided that what I wanted to do was actually to go back and review all of the things that I have lying around in bags and started, because a lot of the times I stall because I come to the point where the project needs some attention, and so I tend to just put it down and go on with the thing that doesn't need my attention quite so much, or that I can just get on with, or that I'm just a bit more excited about. Also, I stopped some things because I just didn't have space at the time. My living situation changed, and so I didn't finish some of the projects just because I didn't have the space and the resources to do it. So I thought what I would do is actually just to pick out a project that I can just chip away at and spend sort of like 20 minutes or half an hour a day to just crack on with that and get it done. At the moment, that's kind of the Jackers sweater, because that's, as I've said before, that's something that I'm needful of in my wardrobe. But the other thing I decided, this is another partly started and stalled project. A friend asked me, well, now that you've finished, what are you going to do to celebrate? And I was thinking, oh, I hadn't thought about celebrating. Usually when I reach a goal, I just make a new goal and get on with it. So I have started working on editing some of your favourite stories, or the stories that were commented on mostly on Instagram. And I have started on the Louleigh's 100 Stories Anthology. I've put together some of the stories that sparked the most interest and that you guys said were your favourites. And at the moment, I'm just working on editing that together. Then I'm going to have somebody proofread it, because I just don't see mistakes. That's the slight effect of being dyslexic. So that's one of the things I'm working on at the moment. Is taking me longer to get around to doing this than I had anticipated, because, half-started things. Window frames, hedges, knitting. Anyway, but I just thought I'd give you that update on where I'd got to with that project. And I think next time I talk to you, I'm going to highlight the project that I'm going to crack on with next. I also want to, I've already identified a project that I'm just not going to finish, and so part of this process will be reclaiming the yarn from that and taking it out of a project bag and just taking the action to make that decision not to continue with the process a real actual thing, so that I don't have this thing just stashed away in my house, to recover the materials and to put them back in my stash so I can use them again. So anyway, I think that's all from me this time. It's really nice to come and have a chat with you, even if it is just setting my camera up on a shelf and standing here and talking. It's so nice to have you here again. I've really enjoyed chatting. If you enjoyed yourself, then like and subscribe, and I shall see you again soon. Cheerio.